Hello, everybody. Welcome to the channel, my humble channel here in Sweden. And I have the pleasure of having a very knowledgeable guest today, Larry Johnson. We've done a couple of programs before, but since then, there's been a lot of events globally in the geopolitics that I would like to know some of your input from. Uh, should we start with? We were talking just before we started recording press conference by Putin from
Yeah,
Russia. All right.
right.
Can you reiterate that? That was an American
Well,
reporter. Yeah.
yeah, not Keir Starmer, that's the British Prime Minister, but this is
Right.
Keir something or other. And he's British, but he's working for an American news outlet, NBC News. And, he stood up to try to do a gotcha question with Vladimir Putin. You're weak and Russia sucks and, you're getting beat everywhere. You got all these huge casualties. What do you say about that? And then Putin just started off and said, well, isn't it interesting that you, a correspondent for NBC, is allowed here in Moscow. You're allowed to be in a meeting with me, and you're allowed to ask me a question, and I haven't dictated what questions you could ask. So you were allowed to ask anything. He said, and yet we're called the authoritarian state, whereas the United States will not allow any Russian correspondent from any news organization or outlet to not only go to the United States, but to operate and ask a question.
Yeah.
And, we're not shutting you down here in Russia, but you're shutting all Russian news outlets down. So we don't want to hear any lectures from the West about freedom and democracy.
Yeah.
We live it, you don't. That was basically his answer.
Yeah.
It's very brilliant.
That is interesting because I just watched Corinne Jean-Pierre, she's called.
Yeah, Karine Jean-Pierre, the press
Yeah.
secretary.
Trying to ask questions from journalists that, throw her softballs. And she's just reiterate what she's been told to do, which
Hmm.
is no answer at all.
Right, right.
Yeah. Okay. Next thing, I have a few. We'll keep this short. Uh, the Syrian situation. I know you know a little bit about it, or a lot. Uh, First thought of the 8th of December was right when they toppled the Assad
Yeah, when Assad
regime.
bailed out.
Yeah. And the Syrian state military just laid down their weapons.
Right.
And Al Qaeda basically took power. What happened?
This was an intelligence operation. I mean, it had been long in the making. The United States, United Kingdom, and Turkish intelligence, they've been collaborating for, good Lord, more than 13, 14 years at least, trying to get rid of Bashar al-Assad. I guess it finally all came together. There wasn't one precipitating factor, but uh, for whatever reason, Assad uh, and his generals, his security state, they needed to be upgraded, and Assad kept turning down Russian and Iranian offers to come in, assist with training, and assist with getting the troops better equipped physically as well as mentally. Um, Assad is refusing to meet with Erdogan. And Assad was demonstrating, at least it looks like his intelligence service was actively cooperating with Mossad, with the Israelis,
Yeah.
to sell out some of the Iranian members of the IRGC that information was passed used to assassinate him. So again, this all came together, and the West, Assad realized he had no means to stay on. It wasn't even a military defeat. The military didn't fight, and I suspect what happened is they were paid off. That Western money, they were reportedly earning only $40 a month. I'm sure if an intelligence handler goes up and said, "Hey, for $4,000, if you tell your troops to, lay down their weapons and go home, you'll be, quote, a wealthy man compared to what you were getting.
uh,
Um, so,
and you
I
wouldn't
think,
be dead,
yeah. So that's kind of, I think, what happened.
right?
Um, that, Russia wasn't, we didn't see any pictures of Russian planes taking off with Syrian folks clinging to the wings and the wheels and falling off as the plane got airborne, like we saw in Afghanistan.
Exactly.
We didn't see massive crowds at the Russian airport begging, pleading, take us out, get us out of here. Oh, like you saw in Vietnam in 1975 in April. And then you saw again in August of 2021 with the flight from Afghanistan. So, the United States is sitting around, oh, yeah, Russia suffered a major defeat. Nothing like what the United States has experienced repeatedly in the past. And in fact, Russia's still there. And both Turkey and HTS are asking the Russians to stay on. And Russia's like, maybe we will, maybe we won't. They're being very non-committal.
Yeah,
And they're hauling some of their advanced air defense systems out that had been made available to the Syrians. So they don't want that to fall into HTS hands. So, Russia, they're very good at strategic calculations saying, this is a loser. We're not going to, they could have, if they were acting like the United States, they would have assassinated Assad and installed their own guy in Assad's place,
yeah,
and then rallied the army, and they'd gone on a murderous rampage against the HTS folks.
yeah. That brings
But
us to another fact that I just discovered. I don't know. These were Indian news channels that I follow.
Mhm.
Sometimes they're well informed. Times of India, Hindustan Times, etc. They've been also accused of being West, pro Russia
Right.
in both cases. But the information was that Russia, since the coup in Syria, they have two major military bases, is what I understand. One naval and one air base.
Yeah, an air base that's out in the eastern portion of Syria up towards the Turkish border. And then
Yeah,
Tartus is the naval base.
right.
Not really, it's more like a refueling station.
Yeah.
It's not a glorified full up military base.
Reportedly, cargo planes were evacuating a lot of equipment from those bases in Syria, as you say, by the Mediterranean coast. And even some movements have been recorded from Russia with military equipment to Libya.
Well,
And that's
yeah,
unconfirmed information that I snapped
right.
up.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a lot of that. And that may be happening.
Yeah,
Uh, you know, um, the the conventional wisdom is, oh yeah, boy, Russia needs Syria because God, it's a halfway point to Africa. These people don't even know how to read a damn map. I mean, for God's sake, uh, Syria from Moscow is about a 4 hour flight. And I
yeah.
think Syria to Egypt is about a 4 hour flight. So, I mean,
Mm.
this stuff is not nonsensical.
Yeah, it is. And if we look at the Middle East, they're all very small countries, except Iran,
Mm.
which is quite large.
Right.
And but Syria is middle small, but Israel is a speck on the map. Lebanon is something similar,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Well, I think what this is, look, this was a plot hatched between Turkey, Israel, the United States, United Kingdom. Everybody had sort of a different objective.
yeah,
Just because uh, it's like, let's say, four people come together to buy a house. Now, one of those people actually they say, "Hey, we're buying this house because we want to move our family in there and live." The other person buying the house says, "Hey, I'm going to use this as a brothel. We're going to, fill a couple of the bedrooms with prostitutes and use prostitutes there." The third person says, "Hey, we're going to bring in an Airbnb and we'll rent out the rooms and people." So they end up buying the house, but they haven't actually agreed amongst themselves what the hell they're going to do with the house.
Mm,
That's exactly what's happened in Syria.
yeah.
Now, from the Turkish standpoint, by God, they do want to rebuild the Ottoman Empire. This
It
was
seems like that.
ours.
Yeah.
We lost it in World War One. By God, it's more than a century later. We want it back.
Mm.
The problem is they don't really fully control HTS. Certainly don't control
Oh,
them.
the HTS, just to be clear, is the power right now in
Yeah,
Syria.
so they're Hayat Tahrir al Sham,
Yeah.
HTS.
I can't even pronounce that
There's
shit.
yeah. Hey, you speak Swedish. Come on. Uh, but Hayat is an offshoot of ISIS.
Right.
Anybody that's read the Pentateuch, the Torah, the Genesis, you know, Adam begat Cain and Abel, Cain and Abel begat Enos, Enos begat so and so. So that's like Al Qaeda begat ISIS, ISIS begat Al Nusra, Al Nusra begat HTS.
Hmm.
So it comes out of that, ideological, theological tree.
Right. And it's
And
the Sunni Muslim
yeah,
branch, if I
yeah,
understand it correctly.
yeah,
Oh.
the in America we say Sunni, but Sunni is just that's how that's how it's phonetically spelled. You're right, Sunni.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, the Sunni Islamic. This is a real hardcore
Right.
of the Sunni Islamic strain. They were known as the Muslim Brothers, the Salafists, the Wahhabis in Saudi Arabia. In Pakistan, they're known as the Deobandis. So, but they're really uncompromising, and it's their way or the highway. The problem is these groups are very fractious, and they'll argue with each other over the smallest theological detail, but it becomes a mountain. It's akin. I remember once in a Christian church, a group of elders of this church got into an argument or whether or not a preacher could wear a white shirt or a colored shirt. I mean, really, I mean, it was a battle. And so they all profess to believe in the same God, but by
Mm.
God, we're going to, and so they'll argue over the proper length for hijab covering. Uh,
Yeah. It's like I
I
was
mean,
going to be saying, Larry, I'll stop talking to you. You have a yellow shirt on you,
yeah, yeah,
and I have a dark sweater.
yeah. Well, that's because you're freezing there in
Well, we have the polar night
bitterly
here, but
cold Sweden. Yeah,
it's not that cold. It's about in Fahrenheit, I guess around the 30s. But the daylight is very short. You know.
yeah, yeah. I can only imagine. I was in St. Petersburg in June when it was the
It's
days were
about the
long.
same latitude as Stockholm, so
Yeah,
same
yeah,
weather basically.
yeah. So yeah, when you get that uh, the summer,
The
the
summers
nights,
are amazing here.
summer nights are incredible, but then winter, boy, you
Mm.
get used to the darkness. That's why you got to have a lot of Christmas lights there.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually
But
turned on all my lights in the studio here, but it's still not enough because it's so dark. Plus, it's cloudy today, so around
yeah,
freezing point. So
but
whatever.
but
Hey,
it
yeah,
yeah.
I
So
had another thing.
it's a mess. It's a
Sorry.
mess. It's a mess in Syria.
Yeah, we have in Sweden 200,000 approximately Syrian refugees that came during the civil war in Syria. There's been military conflicts there for many years, and they most of them fled to Europe.
Hmm.
Uh, Germany took the most of them, but Sweden took a lot. And on the day that they discovered that Al Assad was gone and Al Qaeda or HTS, whatever you call them, it took power, they had tens of thousands of Syrians celebrating freedom in Stockholm, in Berlin, all over Europe. And then they were asked the question, will you return to your country now?
Yeah. You go, hell no.
No, no, we won't.
Yeah. So I was going to ask, what is the ethnic makeup of these Syrians? In other words, are they Shia? Are they Alawites? Are they Christian? Or is it a mix?
I don't know, but I think I would guess that it's a big mix.
Or are they Sunni?
Probably
Because
most of them, I would
yeah,
say,
because
because they're violent. And
okay,
we have independent reporters, for example, visiting demonstrations, and they get attacked physically
hmm
if they ask a question
yeah,
to
yeah.
somebody waving the black flag of ISIS or something like that. They
Well,
get
yeah,
attacked.
yeah. So if they're waving a black flag, that means they're Sunni.
Yeah.
That's not a Shia thing.
Now then, they have
Um,
two Syrian flags: one with three stars, with the red and the green, and
yeah,
one with the black and two stars, or the other way around. I don't
yeah,
remember.
yeah. Because the Shia, like the Hezbollah types, they use a green flag,
Right.
not a black. So yeah, this is just highlights that uh, if they escaped Syria to avoid confrontations with Assad and his troops, yeah, that I could understand them celebrating. But the fact that they don't want to go back tells you everything you need to know because it's not clear really who's in charge, who's
Yeah.
running the place. HTS is not going to be an effective governor. What's the real crazy part of this is uh, Abu Muhammad al-Julani, who's the
Yeah.
ostensible figurehead and claimed leader of HTS, has a $10 million bounty on his head from the State Department's rewards program. So,
Yeah.
uh, and state has actually sent a delegation to demand. Think about this. HTS is listed as one of the top terrorist groups in the world and has been in the State Department's annual report since 2017, uh, identified as such. And yet, that's who State Department is going to sit down and talk to, even though the head of HTS is officially listed with a $10 million reward on his head.
Yeah.
You can't make this stuff
Pretty
up.
crazy,
Yeah,
actually. It's
ridiculous.
hard to get your head around it.
It's
Then
ridiculous.
come to the other. I think we only are going to do this about 30, 35 minutes, although I'm very happy that you can actually do this. Uh, the one question that has been risen in all kinds of media, what's going on with these drones over the
Yeah.
east coast of the United States in New Jersey and Florida and California on the west coast? What's going on?
Um, I think what it is it's searching. It's a organized search for a possible nuclear device or rogue nuclear material.
Uh-huh.
Um,
I
clearly,
thought you were going to answer, I don't know, because that's what,
well, that's I don't know. All I can
right.
do is speculate. So my speculation is driven in that direction by the following. Um, we know that there's been this drone activity.
Uh-huh.
The drone activity has been basically isolated to particular geographic regions in the United States. It's not widespread. It appears to be covering areas that are near the East Coast of the United States. Well, so what do we know when there's that amount of drone activity? Obviously, the Federal Aviation Administration would know about it, but they're claiming that they don't. Well, that doesn't make sense.
Don't
Um,
they have, I mean, I have a pilot's license. It's expired years ago because I flew general aviation Piper. I mean, it was, you were discovered on the air traffic control. If you, as much as a millimeter went close to an international airport,
yeah,
you'd get a radio call saying, get out of there, or you have to pay landing fees, or, you know, you're being intrusive on
right.
air control radar.
Yeah. Well, not only that, you were required before you took off to file a flight plan,
Oh,
right?
yeah, yeah. Exactly. Your course, your altitude, and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the FAA is claiming that it doesn't know anything about this.
Hmm.
Um,
But they must
now,
know.
so Donald Trump came out the other day and just been said the government knows.
Hmm.
So that tells me that he's been briefed on it. So what could that mean? What does that mean? If he's been briefed on it, that means it is a classified program.
Okay.
Now, what kind of classified program are we talking about? Well, there are several possibilities. One, it could be sort of new drone technology that has been developed for either CIA and or Department of Defense, and that they're testing it, and these are prolonged tests. And then part of the capability is to determine can they operate over urban areas without being detected.
Hmm.
So that's a possibility. Um, that Another is that it is in fact looking for. They've got intelligence reports that material out of, say, Ukraine or Israel is being smuggled into the United States with the intent to set off a false flag event.
That might be.
And and then but here's the thing I wrote about at sonar21.com last night. The one thing group we haven't heard about is the Nuclear Emergency Search Team, or now it's called Nuclear Emergency Support Team, the NEST.
Uh,
The NEST is a Department of Energy entity, which they're a top secret unit. Actually, a buddy of mine headed it up for 3 years. Um, but people that operate in that they hold what's called a Q clearance. So just because you could hold a top secret SCI, TK, Gamma, you could have all these nifty little initials after your name. If it doesn't say Q, you don't get access to that information.
wow.
So there's a lot of people that if this is actually anything involving a nuke, there are a lot of people that even hold top secret clearances that won't have a clue what's going on.
Wow.
And
Yeah. I mean,
I was,
what you're saying is fantastic. We've been speculating among my well-informed Swedish colleagues that it could be that you're talking about, nuclear or false flag, whatever, and it's so secret that nobody actually knows about it except a few people, maybe even not the president or
yeah,
Pentagon.
that's possible. That's
Yeah. But it could also be a part of the plan to just scare people with a hologram type thing. That was one idea that came up that I just listened to. What do you think about
yeah.
that?
Again, that's always possible, except I think the fear factor they're weighing on is if they came out and told people the truth of, we believe that there's a nuclear device that's going to be detonated in the United States. We're not sure where, but we're pretty confident that's what we're looking for. I mean, that would shut down traffic. People would
Right.
be panicked, as opposed to being kept in the dark here and saying, "Oh, we don't know what's going on. Oh, nothing to worry about, nothing to see here. Move along." If I posted a link to the scene from that movie Naked Gun with Leslie
Yeah.
Nielsen, where a rocket is crashing into a building and the building's blowing up and they're billowing clouds of fire and smoke and people running and screaming, and Nielsen standing there saying, "Nothing to see here, folks. Move along. Nothing to see here." Well, that's the Biden administration right now trying to, no, no, drones. Pay no attention to those drones that you see flying around. You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
um,
I saw you did a piece on it on your website,
yeah.
sonar21.com.
So sonar21.com.
Yeah. I urge the Swedish viewers to go in and have a look at some of the information that Larry posts on sonar21.com. Uh, I follow all kinds of, as you know, I have had a contact with Douglas McGregor, etc., Ray McGovern, and I follow Judge Napolitano as much as I can.
Yes.
Fantastic information for us that don't get it. anywhere else. We don't get it from mainstream media.
Yeah, no,
Nothing.
media is lost.
Yeah.
Media stopped becoming relevant. I'd say with the rise of Barack Obama.
Mm.
When Barack Obama surfaced, the media lost all objectivity. It became a cult. Because I used to be, I was celebrated by the left prior to the arrival of Barack Obama because I was against the war in Iraq.
Yeah.
I was a defender of Valerie Plame. Part of the Veteran Intelligence Professionals for Sanity. So they thought, hey man, this is Larry Johnson. He's great. In fact, I was so loved by the left. The Democrats, they used to do a Saturday radio address. The president, then George W. Bush would do a Saturday address, and then the Democrats would do a response. Well, they asked me to do the response one day. I did.
Okay.
Uh, but so they loved me. And then when Barack Obama is running, and I start raising some questions about his background and his previous activities, all of a sudden, man, I was devil incarnate and
Yeah.
shunned, never to appear on mainstream media again. Once in a
Mm.
while, but
Yeah.
you know, before I was just taken off the list of pundits that we like.
Yeah.
So, but what's interesting is after from that point on, you started, it's not because of me, but just the bias, the political bias that crept in.
Mhm.
There was a time when I appeared even on the Rachel Maddow show. That's
Wow.
how far back I go.
Oh,
I was on
she.
Hardball with Chris Matthews. So you
Wow.
know what? So I've done all these characters,
Yeah.
and
And
they're
now
now
you're on a
they're now irrelevant.
minuscule show that publishes this in Sweden. Uh, Fantastic. I know you're heavy. I mean, I listen to you, and all your knowledge about all this is absolutely impressive. Um,
Heavy? Did you call me heavy? Are you saying I'm fat?
I mean,
All
you're a
right.
heavyweight.
I need to cut back on my eating.
No, you don't. Uh, I'm glad we can joke about the things like that, but
Yeah.
uh, that is cool. Uh, okay, the drones, we don't know. It could be whatever. Uh,
Yeah, some are insisting that it's for UFOs or unidentified aerial phenomena now is the term
yeah.
UAPs. I always like UFOs more the UFO, you know. I'm not sure. Is there a word in Sweden that's like UFO?
No, we say UFO,
Yeah.
UFO. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Unidentified flying object.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
as a kid in North Sweden on the polar nights, we used to sit with antennas and look for them.
Yeah.
We had a
Well,
group of
plus
nerds that
of course
thought
where
it
you are,
was real.
you get the regular to see the northern lights.
Oh yeah, we do not here in Stockholm, but up where I'm come from, it's a common thing
Yeah. Yeah.
because that's a polar circle. Which I mean, Stockholm is just same latitude as Anchorage, Alaska, or St. Petersburg, Russia. So it's
Hmm.
not all that far because Sweden is a long country,
Right.
pretty
Right.
much the same as California. I was Mexico to Oregon. It's about the same size. It's not that
Oh,
wide.
okay.
Yeah. But we only have 11 million, we think, inhabitants. Nobody knows because they haven't done a calculation of how many immigrants we do have.
No
So
census.
they
Yeah.
think it's 11 something million.
If you use the phrase ignorance is bliss, that explains why the Swedes are such happy people.
Not all of them. All right. That's 30 minutes about right. So thanks a lot. And I hope to be able to get another interview because things are happening
Yeah.
all the time right now. I mean, there's so many questions. Turkey's relationship with Russia. What's going on with that? I know that Putin has said, or Lavrov said that we don't care what Erdogan does right now because he's a member of NATO and we don't want to get involved in a discussion with him. Uh, Israel is occupying land
Yeah.
fast as they can in southern Syria by the Golan Heights. And I know you understand the global map. I do too. because I'm
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
navigator. I'm a former naval officer, so we learned how to use all the maps to know where we are. But most people don't. Although at their fingertips, they have Google Maps. If you wonder where things are, you just go on Google Maps and you press a name and you can see it
Hmm.
in satellite pictures if you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
But people still don't know the difference between Switzerland and Sweden
Right.
or
It,
Minnesota and Oklahoma.
yeah. Yeah. No, that's the it was it's been variously attributed to either Mark Twain or I forget the other author, but saying that war is God's way of teaching human beings about geography.
Yeah. It might have been Mark Twain. I love some of the
Well, he
phrases.
gets credit, because of his prolific writing and his wit. He gets credited with a lot of things that maybe he never even wrote or said. But hey,
Yeah.
he still deserves the attention.
Yeah. They quote Einstein also a lot, saying that he said it, but I don't know if he did. But
Yeah,
he
the
said,
definition of sanity or
yeah,
insanity. Yeah,
do the same experiment over and over and hope for a different outcome.
correct.
Yeah. Might have been another one that I followed and read his books is Isaac Newton. What a
Uh-huh.
genius.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks very much. I'll let you go. You're probably going to be on the weekly wrap up with the judge.
Yeah, yeah, we got that coming up here in a couple hours.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
uh,
And thanks for the program with Nima. I love it. Dialogue Works. It's a channel that everybody should follow. He has a lot of interesting guests all the time, and he's a very low key person, which makes the program very enjoyable.
yeah, and I harass him regularly. He puts he puts up with my verbal abuse because we determined that I'm the age of his father. So
Okay.
I get to yell at him like a wayward son.
I think he can take it.
Yeah, no, he's good. Good man.
Yeah, he's a
So,
good man.
hey, listen, you have yourself a Merry Christmas and a good New Year.
You too.
And
Merry,
thank
Merry
you.
Christmas, not Happy Holidays, because that's the politically correct version in Sweden. We cannot say Good Jul as we normally do. We have to say Good Helg. Men. But I say Merry Christmas.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a good one.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye.